Beowulf, anonymously written, translated by Raffel. Chapter 25. And then pride grows in his heart, planted quietly but flourishing. And while the keeper of his soul sleeps on, while conscience rests and the world turns faster, a murderer creeps closer, comes carrying a tight-strung bow with terrible arrows, and those sharp points strike home, are shot in his breast under his helmet. He's helpless, and so the devil's dark urgings wound him, for he can't remember how he clung to the rotting wealth of this world, how he clawed to keep it, how he earned no honor, no glory in giving golden rings, how he forgot the future glory God gave him at his birth, and forgetting did not care. And finally, his body fails him. These bones and flesh, quickened by God, fall and die, and some other soul inherits his place in heaven, some open-handed giver of old treasures, who takes no delight in mere gold. Guard against such wickedness, beloved Beowulf, best of warriors, and choose instead eternal happiness. Push away pride. Your strength, your power are yours for how many years? Soon you'll return them where they came from. Sickness or a sword's edge will end them, or a grasping fire, or the flight of a spear, or surging waves, or a knife's bite, or the terror of old age, or your eyes darkening over. It will come. Death comes faster than you think. No one can flee it. So I have led the Danes for 100 years, protected them from all peoples on this earth, my sword and my spear so ready that no one anywhere under God's high sun was eager to wage war here in Denmark. And here too the change has come. And we wept for our dead when Grendel invaded Heorot. My enemy raided this hall. My sorrow, my grief was as great and lasting as it was helpless. Then thanks be given to God, eternal Lord of us all. You came, and that endless misery was over, and I lived, now, to behold this bloody head. Go in, feast, and be as happy as your fame deserves. When morning shines, we shall each have owned more of my treasures. Beowulf obeyed him, entered Heorot cheerfully, and took his place at the table. And once again, Danes and Geats feasted together, a host of famous warriors in a single hall. Then the web of darkness fell, and it was night. They rose. Hrothgar, the gray-haired old Dane, was heavy with sleep. And Beowulf was glad that a bed was waiting, the bravest of warriors, exhausted with the work he'd done. A Danish servant showed him the road to that far-off, quiet country where sleep would come and take him and his followers. Hrothgar's visitors were well cared for. Whatever they needed was theirs. Then Beowulf rested. Heorot rose high above him, gleaming in the darkness. The Geats slept till a black-feathered raven sang his cheerful song, and the shining sun burned away shadows. And those seafarers hurried from their beds, anxious to begin the voyage home, ready to start, their hearts already sailing on a ship's swift back. Then Unferth came with Hrunting, his famous sword, and offered it to Beowulf, asked him to accept a precious gift. The prince took it, thanked him, and declared the weapon one he was proud to own. His words, blamed it for nothing, were spoken like the hero he was. The war gear was ready. The Geats were armored and eager to be gone. Quickly, Beowulf sought Hrothgar's throne, where the king sat waiting for his famous visitor's farewell. Chapter 26. Beowulf spoke. We crossed the sea to come here. It is time to return, to go back to our beloved lord, Hygelac. Denmark was a gracious host. You welcomed us warmly. Anything I can do here on this earth to earn your love, O great king, anything more than I have done, battles I can fight in your honor, summon me. I will come as I came once before. If I hear from across the ocean that your neighbors have threatened you with war or oppressed you as enemies once oppressed you, here I will bring 1,000 warriors, 1,000 armed Geats to protect your throne. I trust Hygelac. Our king is young, but if I need his help to better help you, to lend you our strength, our battle-sharp spears to shield you and honor you as you deserve, I know his words and his deeds will support me. And someday, if your oldest son, Hrethric, comes visiting our court, he will find a host of good friends among the Geats. No one who goes visiting far-off lands is more welcome than a strong and noble warrior. Hrothgar replied, All-knowing God must have sent you such words. Nothing so wise from a warrior so young has ever reached these ancient ears. Your hands are strong. Your heart and your lips are knowing. If your lord, Hrethel's son, is slain by a spear, or falls sick and dies, or is killed by a sword, and you have survived whatever battle sweeps him off, I say that the Geats could do no better, find no better suited to be king, keeper of warriors, and their treasure than you. If you take the throne, they surely will offer you. Beloved Beowulf, you please me more the longer I can keep you here in Denmark. You've turned Danes and Geats into brothers, brought peace where once there was war, and sealed friendship with affection. This will last as long as I live and am king here. We will share our treasures, greeting travelers from across the sea with outstretched hands. Ring-proud ships will carry our gifts and the tokens of our love. Your people will live by the old ways. Their hearts, like ours, are forever open to their friends, but firmly closed against their enemies. Then he gave the Geats prince 12 new gifts, prayed for his safety, commanded him to seek his people, yet not to delay too long in visiting Hrothgar once more. The old king kissed him, held that best of all warriors by the shoulder and wept, unable to hold back his tears. Gray and wise, he knew how slim were his chances of ever greeting Beowulf again, but seeing his face, he was forced to hope. His love was too warm to be hidden. His tears came running too quickly to be checked. The very blood burned with longing, and then Beowulf left him, left Heorot, walked across the green in his golden armor, exulting in his treasures heaped high in his arms. His ship was at anchor. He had it ready to sail. And so Hrothgar's rich treasures would leave him, travel far from that perfect king without fault or blame until winter had followed winter, and age had stolen his strength, spirited it off as it steals from many men.